Well, and your sheet said it should be one sheet.
We're not ready to go to the top. Hi Pat, this is Julie.
Hey, Julie.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right, let me know if at any time you can't.
Okay.
All right. All right, I'm gonna call our meeting to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I need to run through a few things for us tonight on protocol. Just want to make you aware that the district clerk is electronically recording this meeting, and the advice that this recording shall be available to citizens for inspection at the clerk's office. Before we go to public comment, I wanted to go back over audience participation. It's our district policy 1441. It is important for all participants to remember that board meetings are held in public but are not public meetings. Members of the public shall be recognized and allowed input during the meeting at the discretion of the chairman. Number one, there will be no talking or whispering from the audience. Two, anyone with a question or comment will come to the podium after being noticed by the chairman, state their name, and address comments to the whole board. The board will not hear complaints concerning school personnel or against any person connected with the school system. Such complaints shall be heard in closed executive session unless waived by the individual about whom the concerns are directed. Those who come to the podium will be under a 3-minute time restraint. Only one comment per agenda item. When the agenda item is a motion item, comment can only take place during the discussion part of the motion. Comments will be respectful and courteous, or the individual will be asked to sit down. Abuse of any of the following will be forced for expulsion from the meeting. All right, we're going to move on to public comment. This is the part of the meeting that if there's anyone in the audience that has something that they want to share with the board, they would need to come to the podium, state their name as directed with the itinerary that I went through. Please remember that it needs to be not of a personal nature, or it can't be whatever it is that you want to address with the board. It can't be an agenda item. And also remember that we can't respond to anything from public comment because it isn't an agenda item. So the floor is open. If anyone has something that they would like to stand, bring to the board, the time is yours.
My name's Kevin O'Brien. At the last meeting, you tabled an agenda item due to the fact that I was not at the meeting when that item came up, and it was the superintendent's voluntary wage cut, and I would like to make sure that that does get placed on the next agenda since it was tabled at the previous meeting. And I would also like to hand each board member, with the exception of Mrs. Appleby, who's not here, this letter. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to our next. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Brenda Bolton, and I never can come on a Tuesday night because I do another community service work. But I had been wanting to come to the board, and I was going to write you a letter to talk about the cross-country program this fall, and to thank the board and the school for that opportunity. Our son ran for Florence with Big Sky, and it was an incredibly positive experience. He did very well in AA, and his teammates asked him to come into school there. But it just was so positive, and the coaching was positive, and the two schools working together were positive. And cross-country was new to our family, and it was a great learning experience. And I also wanted to offer anybody in our family would be more than willing to help that Big Sky Florence partnership grow with this program. And so whatever the Bolton family could do to make that happen and encourage more kids for that healthy lifestyle, we would be willing to do that. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is spectator conduct denied admission.
Okay. All right, at this board meeting, this has been called for spectator conduct, and I'll read the letter that was written to Mr. Michael Ward with regard to this meeting. We regret to inform you that your right to attend any of the all school events and activities is hereby denied pending a school board hearing. As superintendent, I am seeking to deny your future admission to the school events and activities for up to 1 year. A special school board meeting will be called for January 4th, 2012 at 7 p.m. in the school district conference room at 5602 Old Highway 93 in Florence, Montana. It is alleged that the violation of spectator conduct happened during the boys' basketball game between Florence and St. Ignatius on Tuesday, December 20th, 2011. Immediately following this game, it was reported that you had behaved in a threatening, intimidating, and hostile manner towards Sam Bearlocker and Lord Winholtz. It was reported that you shook hands with Mr. Winholtz. You proceeded to grab hold and not let go of his hand. It was also reported that heated words were exchanged, and finally Mr. Winholtz had to push you back to create separation so he could get you to release his hand. This matter then moved into the school gym lobby, where you proceeded to harass and intimidate Mr. Winholtz and Mr. Bearlocker by shoving your electronic recording device into their face. The aggressive behavior was shocking and disconcerting for those who witnessed this dangerous and unstable behavior. My office has determined that your behavior is not appropriate. Your behavior violates School Board Policy 4315, spectator conduct and sportsmanship for athletic and co-curricular events by fighting with another person. You are not allowed to act in an aggressive, hostile, or threatening manner. Any form of harassment and intimidation is completely prohibited. Please be advised that your presence is requested at this meeting so the board may hear from you regarding this matter. The school board will take your position and response into consideration before any action will be taken. Pending this meeting, you are hereby notified that you may not be on school property for any reason without express written permission from me in advance. If you ignore this directive, law enforcement will be notified and a restraining order will be sought. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me. And this letter is dated December 22nd, and you have an email in your board packet that shows that it was received on December 28th. And so the board tonight is asked to give consideration to enforcing spectator conduct policy due to the fact that, I believe this incident warrants review by this board. Mr. Winholtz was in our building that night working as a volunteer for our athletic program, keeping the staff books at the game and doing some announcement. And we need to treat our volunteers as we would any of our employees and look out for their well-being and their safety when they're in a venue. With regard to Mr. Mike Ward, it's very evident that from this incident that there is very unstable behavior that is occurring that I believe is dangerous to to a school setting. As your superintendent, I have numerous responsibilities, and I believe that the greatest responsibility is the safety of all of our students. We cannot afford to have adults acting in such a manner where there is any harassment, intimidation, or bullying that is taking place. Mr. Ward was requested to be here tonight to share his side of this, so that he could be given that into consideration in any decisions that you decide to make tonight. However, he is not present, but Mr. Winholtz is, as well as Mr. Bearlocker and Mr. Combo, who have witnessed events place. I'm going to turn this back over to the board if they would like to call any of those individuals up to speed. They are please feel free to do so.
Mr. Winholtz?
Yes, sir.
What did you do to provoke him?
He needs it, we need to have him come to the
Oh, okay.
podium.
Can we discuss this without him here?
Yes, we may, because he's been asked to and noticed to be here, and he has chosen not to. The board has to move forward with this business.
Mr. Winholtz, if you feel comfortable in doing that, it's not something that we're
Absolutely.
saying you have to do, but we would certainly like to hear your side of the story.
The short answer is I did nothing to provoke him.
Would you mind going back over what, kind of in detail, what happened that particular, I mean, I was at that game and I didn't, but I was at the far end and I did not see what had happened, so if you would give us a short.
I was at the basketball game. I was announcing the game. I greeted a couple of friends. After the game was over, I went to walk out of the gym and Mike was coming out of the stands. I stuck my hand out to him to shake his hand and wish him a Merry Christmas. And he grabbed a hold of my hand and yanked me into his chest. And he asked me, he said, I need to know whose side you were on. And he did it very nastily. And I told him, I don't know what you're talking about. And he continued to say, you need to tell us what side you're on. And he's referring to, evidently, school board issues. I haven't been to a school board meeting for over a year. Haven't been involved in any of that. I had not spoken with Mike until the state basketball game last year. It's the last time that I spoke with him. So something got in his head that he needed to be nasty with me about that. And I'd leave that up to Mr. Paris and Mr. O'Brien to explain that part. Because I had a conversation with Mr. Paris that afternoon, just suggesting that maybe we're on the wrong track with what our community is doing and with what's going on with our school board, and both sides have a part in that. Now, evidently, that was discussed because there is absolutely no reason for Mike to come up to me other than that. Okay, so with that in mind, he had me tightly held to his chest. I relaxed my hand twice and tried to pull it away from him, and he wouldn't let me do it. I said, you need to let go of my hand right now. And he said, as soon as you tell me what side you're on, so I broke my grip with him. And when I got done doing that, I told him, I said, you need to stay away from me, please. And I turned around and I walked off. I went out into the concession area. In the concession area, he came up behind me, grabbed a hold of my shoulder. I was by the trophy case and he got right in my face. He was less than an inch away from my nose with his face. Continuing this line of, you need to tell us what side you're on. I tried to have a civil conversation with him, and I said, Mike, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to walk out of here, you need to leave me alone. And I started to walk out, and he said, the next time you hit me, I'm going to call the sheriff. Well, I had not hit him. And so I thought, okay, if we're going to go down that road, then maybe we should just call the sheriff right now. And I told him that. So I went and found Mr. Combo, I explained to him what happened. He called the sheriff. And for probably, I'm going to guess, 20 minutes, and anybody that doubts this, they can go to Mr. Ward's house and watch his video camera of him having that thing shoved in my face. It took every ounce of character that I had to not fight him. And that's exactly what he wanted to happen. He's the one that wanted the fight. I think his video camera and the one in the concession area ought to be true enough witness for that. I think this is very unfortunate that this has happened. But if we're gonna go to where we're gonna start verbally insulting each other in front of our faces and physically assaulting each other, then we have gone too far. I am one that will not stand for bullying. I'm not gonna put up with it, and that's exactly what he did. I used to go to church with Mike. I wish that Mike would say, you know what, you're right, I went down the wrong road and I shouldn't have done that. And if he would simply do that, then as far as I'm concerned, this could be canceled. But I think it's very unfortunate that he's not gonna get to watch his son play his last basketball games. So that's my side to it.
Thank you. Mr. O'Brien.
Madam Chair, my name got drug into this. I'm asking for closed session with the board. Kevin O'Brien. My name just got drug into this thing. I'm requesting closed session with the board.
Okay, that's fine.
Excuse me?
We can grant you closed session for whatever you need to share. with
Okay, thanks.
the board. At that, would I ask the rest of the audience to wait for us out? You think Mr. Reynolds has covered it?
Yeah, I believe so. I was upstairs, I came down at the end of it.
Mr. Cromwell? I feel like you need to add anything to this particular thing?
No, I would 100% agree with Mr. Reynolds.
Is there anyone else?
Is there anybody here that felt the same type of intimidation with the video equipment that Mr. Wenholz indicated?
Very much so.
I would agree with that.
I would. I was in the stands, and it was aimed at me, and I didn't like it.
He videotaped me that night also.
For what? What?
During the game, just while I was watching the game.
I'm really sad that this had to happen. Although, as I've been thinking about when I read through what Mr. Nibley sent us, what keeps coming to my mind is that, in my mind, there's no tolerance for this kind of action. I've lived in Florence a long time, been to a lot of basketball games, gone to a lot of activities, and I never want any particular person, whether they're volunteer, a teacher, a student, to ever feel that they can't be at that particular event without being intimidated or bullied. There's just no tolerance for it as far as I'm concerned. And so it would be my recommendation to the board, and I want to hear from all of the trustees, but it's my recommendation that Mr. Ward be given a 1-year suspension from any kind of school activity. And because I think we need to send a message. The message needs to be sent that this is not going to be tolerated. It is not acceptable that we in this community feel that you can come and participate and not have to feel like, not have to be questioned about what side you are on or what color your skin is or whatever it might be. There's no room for that whatsoever in Florence. So I'll turn it over to the trustees if they'd like to share anything. If not, we can.
I would be tolerant or more tolerant if he had shown up and apologized. I think that would have been the right thing to do, but it's not good with him out here.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I was ready to hear Mr. Ward's side of the story, and because it pains me to be able to even. I'm a parent of a former player, and I can't imagine not seeing my kid play. And I was willing to give the benefit of doubt if Mr. Ward would have been here to hear his side and possibly talk about probation. But without him here, I'm having a hard time leaning that direction.
Yeah, what Ward's political persuasion is none of my business. Anybody out there business, and certainly not Mr. Ward's business. So he has no business at all bothering Ward about whose side he's on. The fact that he isn't here shows a lack of contrition. I've already asked him once to apologize for the last time we had to have a special meeting on his account. I never got an apology for that, and I guess I'm not going to get one tonight for this meeting. So I'm out of patience with him. Not even going to give him that third strike. As far as I'm concerned, he's out here on this second strike.
Well, I do think people should feel safe when they come, just as we want our kids to come to school feeling safe. I think when the public comes here to an event, they shouldn't have to be in fear of somebody grabbing them or confronting them or bullying them. I think they should come here to enjoy and feel good.
Vicki,
Yes, Pat?
can I ask for clarification? Are we talking about not allowing him on campus at any time, or are we only talking about sporting events and those kinds of activities? What about parent-teacher conference and that kind of thing?
The board could take action where it would state that he would have to have permission, written permission of the superintendent to attend those activities, such as parent-teacher conferences.
Okay, because, we were talking, academics for his kids too, so I think we'd be sure we covered all the bases.
It's a good question, Pat. But yeah, to clarify that it means that he would not be allowed on school property unless he has written permission from the superintendent.
Would that include board meetings?
That would include board meetings. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to deny Mike Ward, Mike Ward's admission to school events and activities for 1 year from the date of this action. Mr. Mike Ward will not be allowed on the school grounds without the express written permission from the Florence Carlton superintendent.
I'll second.
Further discussion? And because this is a discussion item and we're to that point, if there's anyone in the audience who has not addressed this already at the podium, this would be your time. Okay, call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned.
Okay, Pat, thank you. All right, Julie, we'll talk to you when I get back next week. All right, good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Okay, wait for my call. Next week.
You should run your car.
What your mom is. Yep. Pretty excited.
See you later, huh?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get him.